do the soundboard. Just grab a piece of plywood, low tack double-sided adhesive. Now you want to line up the center line of the sound hole with that piece of wood. Okay. Okay, now we're going to clamp this to our bench drill, and we're going to drill out the rosette first using this 32mm Forstner bit, and then we'll follow that with the 28mm bit which we used to make the mould sound hole here. Okay, here we have the recess. So it's just over 1mm in depth, and at the moment the soundboard is about 3mm thick, so that's got to come down at least another millimetre. So once we've installed the rosette, then we'll plane down the soundboard as well. So now we have our soundboard with the purfling recess here and the sound hole cut out in the middle. There are two ways that I used to do it. Decorative. Violin. I think this one's actually wider than the main for the black part. Fibre purfling tends to bend very nicely. We need to take our purfling and bend it into a 35mm circle. We still need a little bit of heat to do that. To do that, we just pour some boiling water into a small container. We have our purfling mould here, which is the same size, the same 35mm diameter as the purfling ring. What we're going to do now is take a single piece of this, and you can see now it's become a little bit more flexible. So we place it in the mould. Okay, you can see I've cut it quite oversize. At this stage, we're just trying to see how it fits. It fits fine. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to mitre the joint. So I'm going to take my scalpel. I'm going to cut a 45-degree angle here. You can see that. Put it back in the mould. Bend our inlay around. Now what we want to try and do is to eye up where the mitre is going to be. So I'm going to cut it oversize at first. I can see that it needs to go there. I can probably do this, but so first I'll cut it oversize. Push that in. Now you can see that it's just very fractionally oversized. All I have to do is take off a very tiny amount. This is a lot easier with the fibre bindings. I found that with the with wood, this is a little bit more tricky to cut, especially when wet. It softens it up just a little bit too much. Okay. Try and again, put it in first. Okay, I think it's nearly there. Right, okay, that's one ring done. Now the second ring has to fit in the middle of inside this one. So again, I think I've done too much here. So again, we start bending it, just gradually manipulating it. We'll miter the front first, so that we're ready. So just a 45-degree angle again, and start in a different position. Get that bend going. Bend it round. Okay, and again, you can I cut it slightly oversize. We're just trying to see how we can fit it. You see, that's almost in again. Just half a millimeter, maybe more to come off. Very fractional. So we pop it out. And we take off just a tiny amount, a tiny bit more. You've got to try and keep it square. It's not terribly square. It won't be visible. Okay, that's better. Right. So one in, and then great. Okay. That's our ring. Okay. We are going to leave this to dry. What I sometimes do, sometimes I overcoat this. When it's dry, I put a little bit of super glue on to hold it together. But we don't want to stick the rosette into this piece of scrap wood, but just a tiny drop it in the middle. Okay, this is an alternative sound hole arrangement I've done before. Basically, it's a disc of, this is mahogany, and it's inserted into the rosette space. And when it's dry, you turn it over, and you re-drill out the sound hole, and that leaves you with your sound hole and it's a very simple rosette. I don't use these very often now. If I was doing it now, I might be tempted to make the hole a little bit smaller, and to insert a piece of purfling between the two, just to give it more contrast between the soundboard and the sound hole. This is a stick dulcimer I made about 8 or 9 years ago for my daughter. Unfortunately, it's been damaged since, but it plays, I think, octave higher. Okay, to install our ring, we saturate the inside with wood glue. Okay, we take our ring very carefully. I'm actually going to not glue this one, so this is completely unglued, so it's going to come apart. If you have super glue, you can pre-glue it, like I suggested. I didn't have any super glue on me at this time, but it's not so bad. I'm going to just make sure there's some extra glue on the inside of this one. There's already glue on the outside of there, so we insert our first ring. We make sure the join is at the top of the first one. It just it doesn't cut in. Sometimes it cuts into the wood otherwise. Okay, so that's the first one. Good. Okay, the second one, there was plenty of glue in that, so we're going to use that to glue this. We'll make the second join at the bottom, so it's the opposite side. So make sure that one goes in first, and then we bend that in, and it should push into place. shouldn't need anything to hold it really. I think that's pretty much it. I'm just going to wipe up the extra adhesive.